I'm sure you've heard the news. Harry and Meghan are spilling tea again, and boy is it piping hot.
The druggy doorbell scandal, the Beyonce unconvincing public display of affection, the car crash BBC interview, and Meghan's Mother's Day tribute to herself. Perhaps after such a disastrous fortnight, it is not a surprise that YouGov now has Meghan's popularity. Look at this. The worst she has ever been with the British public. The only royal less popular than her is Prince Andrew, and it's not good for Harry either, who has slumped to his lowest popularity rating in 2 years. And there's only one woman who I have been dying to discuss these absolute shenanigans over the past few days, Lady Colin Campbell. Lady C, I mean, look, in some ways this poll is not a surprise, although you could argue it's quite a shock that she could become any more unpopular.
Oh, I don't know, Dan. I mean, I actually think that she will lose even more popularity. The astonishing thing is that she still has people who actually like her. But then I suppose, there is a certain percentage of the population is stupid or idiotic or brain dead or has no discrimination. But she keeps on declining in popularity and she doesn't get the message. Although, let's put it another way, it's quite possible she doesn't really care about what the British people think, number one. And number two, I think there's also the possibility that she actually feeds off her unpopularity here to create a victim narrative which she hopes will work in the United States of America. The fact, of course, of the matter is it's not working, as Saturday Night Live has just proven, and all of the adverse publicity that she gets in the United States proves. But I think her game plan really, if you stop to think of what she said recently, and she said it repeatedly before, she said, oh, it's, whether it's praise or condemnation, it's all the same to me. I find it all a matter of indifference, I'm so way above anybody having an opinion that would interfere with my vision of myself. I mean, the delusional arrogance. But I think that indicates that basically, on some level, she doesn't care whether it's positive or negative, particularly as long as she gets attention.
So, Lady Colin Campbell, never shy with her opinions, has dropped another bombshell. She claims Harry had a ganja doorbell moment, thinking the doorbell was out to get him after smoking weed.
But Lady C, I mean, you mentioned Saturday Night Live. Surely that really matters to her because that is her former base. That is a left-wing show. That is a woke show. That is part of the NBC empire. And just before I get you to respond, here's a reminder of how cutting they were. For the first time, actually the first time they chose to take down Meghan Markle on Saturday night. And the laughs, Lady C, it's like even the woke-topians in the audience at Saturday Night Live in New York understand. I mean, that's probably the most cutting mainstream organization to turn on them since South Park.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you'll know, Dan, Saturday Night Live is huge in America. I mean, absolutely huge. It's actually even larger than South Park. I mean, it's like so important. But I think Meghan tells us that she doesn't care. And I think on some level, she really doesn't care. But I think that doesn't mean she wouldn't prefer good publicity over bad publicity. But I think I think her narcissism is such, and her lack of judgment is such, that since she can't rectify the situation and replace herself with a more acceptable and likable and amenable self, as long as she's getting publicity, that's what counts. I mean, my understanding is that, you know, her selling point with Ted Sarandos and his selling point to those on the board who don't want her to have a continued affiliation with Netflix is that she and Harry are the most talked about and written about couple on earth. Well, to remain so written about, it can't be positive all the time. Negative publicity ultimately will get you more column inches than positive publicity, because you will know there is a level with fame, no matter how big you are, whether, say, you are like Queen Elizabeth II or a genuinely very famous and revered person, is not in the newspapers or on social media every single day of the week. They may be on every week, every 10 days, every 3 days, depending on the true news, but they're not on a daily basis. Well, Meghan makes sure she's on a daily basis. I think she's a fame junkie. I think she's addicted to the attention. And that means that it has to be negative. And I think that on some level, she cares, and on another level, she doesn't. Because let's remember, people who have disordered personalities are very conflicted, and they are very conflicting, and they're very contradictory. And that's what makes them disordered personalities. If they were healthy personalities, they would not be so conflicted. And equally, they wouldn't be so newsworthy on a perpetual basis. But Meghan actually not only she actually creates the news on a daily basis. And now that she's on Instagram again, I mean, she's really a fame whore.
Yes, you heard that right. The doorbell. And Meghan? Well, she allegedly fangirled awkwardly over Beyoncé.
Oh, yes. Yes, she is a fame whore indeed, Lady C. Now, what have you found out? What have you discovered of this Prince Harry doorbell picture? Arguably the most devastating tabloid picture for the royal family since Prince Andrew was caught in that News of the World sting with Jeffrey Epstein in the parks in Central Park in New York. Because, Lady C, sometimes it is a picture which tells 1,000 words. It tells 1,000 words about the state that he's in, the wired look on his face, but also the fact that it just blows up the argument that he's completely destroyed his relationship with his father over the fact that actually there is no security concern that's genuine in the United Kingdom.
No, the photograph shows very clearly, first of all, that he does not need security. If he needed security, he would not have stood down any security he had if he needed security. That's number one. Number two, why do you stand down your security? You only stand down your security if you are doing something that you should not be doing. If you're covering up for something, then you will stand down your security if you're going to be doing something you shouldn't. Now, let us remember, Harry has confirmed over the years in writing and orally that he is somebody who has availed himself of the weed, both in the United Kingdom and the United States, for much of his life. Well, weed is not legal in the United Kingdom. It may be legal in the United States, but ganja-loving Harry. I'm looking for a friend. I'm looking for a friend. Why is he going from house to house? And he's not asking for the name of a person. He's asking for a friend. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I find it very suspicious.
Well, it is. It is very suspicious on so many levels. And my theory, Lady C, is that the reason we got such a glut of publicity over the weekend is because Meghan Markle was trying to do this thing. It's a PR technique, and she believes that she is a PR mastermind and better than all of the staff who she bullies and then leaves, that she thought she would flood the zone over the weekend so that we would forget the picture. So that's why we got this incredibly disingenuous PDA. Do you know what that is, Lady C? A public display of affection at the
Yeah.
Beyonce concert.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, as the Royal Griff pointed out here, Lady C, I mean, she looks repulsed by him. Were you convinced at all?
Well, I'll tell you, as a Jamaican, and all Jamaicans can dance irrespective of their color. And in Jamaica, one of the things you see, cha man, them dance like them is white. I mean, she dances as if she's a white woman, and so raffinée, and I mean, she has absolutely no rhythm for somebody who claims to be 43% Nigerian. Where is her rhythm? I mean, she's supposed to have rhythm. And Harry looked as if he was a Madame Tussauds creature who was being sort of melting under the lights and therefore moving slightly. But I don't think, Dan, it's only because of that photograph. I think it's also because of the huge issues of African parks and Harry's position at African parks and the condemnation that African parks has been subjected to. And I think there's also the ongoing investigation into Centre Barley. And I think, and also there is the fact that there are people on the board at Netflix who do not want to have a continuing association with them. So I think with all of that going on, it's not only is she trying to put out fires, and I agree with you, she thinks she is a brilliant operative in terms of public relations, and she's never learned the first maxim of good PR is never be overexposed. Never. And she thinks overexposure would be if she's in the newspapers or on social media 8 times a week, 27 hours a day. Anything else is underexposure for her, which is actually fatal, because the point I made earlier is if you are in the news, you have to be in the news half the time for something bad. Otherwise, you're not going to be in the news constantly. Don't you agree?
Oh, totally.
Lady C says this only deepens the rift between the Sussexes and the Royals, claiming it's irreversible.
Totally agree. And I know that she's lying when she says she doesn't look at the coverage. She claims she only looks at 1% of the coverage. That's rubbish. She's across it all the time. And her actions are dictated by what is being said in the mainstream media, on social media, on shows like this. She's completely obsessed with it. Lady C, I've got to ask you too about this very odd cosplaying of Catherine, the Princess of Wales, that continues. So we saw it in a few different examples over the weekend. So, well, this one was of Princess Diana, actually. Meghan's mole posted, the cosplay continues. I know the Sussex squids want to claim Meghan sold the dress out, but this Carolyn Herrera dress was a fall winter 2022 release. So very, very obvious that she's trying to wear yet another dress that was made famous by Princess Diana. Odd. Then we also see, Lady C, the hat, which Meghan chose to wear. Harry's hat is very similar to Catherine on the cover of Vogue. And perhaps most damning was the fact that when Catherine was presented with this beautiful rose, which is going to raise money for cancer. It's a charitable cause. It's been named in her honor. Really beautiful thing. Within hours, Meghan has to come out with her own, as ever, rose collection. And people actually predicted, she's so predictable in her cosplay now, Lady C. People actually knew this was coming.
Yes, well, that's a sign of a personality disorder as well, I have to tell you. Because I'm sure you know, Dan, I wrote a book called Daughter of Narcissus about my mother's narcissism. And I had to end up studying the subject to write the book properly. And what my father's niece always used to say about Mummy, she used to say, Gloria is so predictable. And Meghan is so predictable. They think they're unpredictable, but they are very predictable, people like that, because they function within a narrower band of perception than you and I would function in, but they function in a far wider range of possibilities with no boundaries and no limits. So where you or I would say, no, we won't do that because it's not right, or we won't do that because even though it's possibly right, it will impact adversely upon us or upon others. They don't think like that. They have no boundaries and no scruples in ethical terms. But in terms of, they're like a sculptor who avails himself of clay from a particular source, and it becomes very predictable that the clay is the same clay. No matter what shape it has, it's the same clay. And there's a sameness as well, because these people don't usually have ideas, and they're not usually connected with the huge picture of life. They are usually connected with their desires and their objectives. And this limits them, and it limits their possibilities for action. So that's
and
why.
didn't we get another example of that, Lady C, with the Mother's Day post? Because she's paying tribute to herself, but not mentioning her own mother, Doria.
It's all about keeping her name in the news, even if it means dragging Harry down with her. Lady C is spot on. Meghan is overexposing herself, and the public is getting tired of it. And here's where things get creepy and bizarre. Meghan's copycat obsession is back, and it's getting more obvious by the day.
Now, it's not a situation like with you, where you had lots of reasons to have issues with your mum. By all accounts, Doria was obviously invisible when she was a teenager, but in recent years, she's been the only member of the family who she wants to praise. Do you think this was about Meghan's narcissism, or is there some type of split developing with Doria? Because Doria seems incredibly unhappy the last few times that we've seen her used in Meghan's PR campaigns.
Well, I don't really have sufficient information that I would rely upon to comment in any authoritative way on the relationship between Meghan and Doria at the moment. But what I would say is that Meghan's post did not surprise me, because Meghan's Mother's Day post wasn't about her mother, it was about her as a mother. And she always has to reiterate how wonderful a person she is. And she's a wonderful mother as well. So Meghan is a great boaster. I mean, she's always boasting about how wonderful she is. And, oh, that man, he just loves me so much. And those children, they want to climb the Mama Mountain because they just can't do without me. I mean, I'm just so fabulous. And they love me so much. And then she flips it, and to be able to say how much they love her, she says that she loves them as much as they love her. And so that way she gets it. She is so totally self-obsessed. It's all about her. And she will not share any space. Have you not noticed, even when she and Doria were in Britain together, if Doria ever opened up her mouth and spoke, Meghan would glower at her like, how dare you speak? And, with Meghan, it's got to be all about her. And I understand from people who know her and Harry very well that she dominates all proceedings. It's all about what she wants. And she has him as a wind-up toy. And she uses him to really ratify how wonderful she is. And so I'm not surprised that she neglected it. I think it didn't even occur to her that a daughter who's supposed to get on with her mother would actually give a good Mother's Day message. It didn't occur to her. What occurred
Because
to
she's
her
just
was,
thinking of herself.
no, she's totally self-obsessed.
Did you even believe this picture, though? Because look at Archie's toe, which looks to be deformed. Now, I don't believe it's deformed necessarily in real life. It seems to point to the idea, Lady C, that these are not genuine pictures that she's releasing. They're either pictures that have been taken a very long time ago, that have been manipulated because the children's hair color keeps changing, their heights keep changing. What do you make of what is going on with this very odd social media activity?
Love 'em or hate 'em, this royal drama is far from over. So smash that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Was Lady C spot on or way off? Catch you in the next one.